Spiritual Tips for Meditators. Part 1. By Luangpor Teean. The Path of Mindfulness. Now I am going to teach you the way to meditate. Please relax and feel comfortable, because what I am going to teach you is based on something you already have in your mind. The teaching that I am going to instruct you in is based on something which is real and genuine, the truth. And the truth cannot be deceived. It cannot be deceived by neither the master nor the students. The master cannot deceive the student and the student cannot deceive the master, once either of them has realized or understands the truth. This is a technique that can be understood by everybody. All of us have mind and body. We also have mindfulness. Mindfulness is a quality of mind that we can cultivate and develop, but it is already in our minds. Once we are mindful or once we are awakened to mindfulness, all of us are the same, but if we do not have mindfulness or if we are not mindful, we are different. Meditating, especially developing mindfulness, does not require special time designated specifically for this technique. It can be practiced all the time in our daily lives. It does not demand special time, mainly because mindfulness is already in our minds. It can be developed through our daily activities. If we practice properly, we will feel that our lives are normal. We cannot practice for others but have to practice for ourselves. We cannot learn from others but have to learn from direct experience. We have to learn by realizing the truth in our minds. The meditation cannot be achieved from memorizing texts or reading books. We have to experience the reality in ourselves. For example, when we think, we have to see, observe, and experience the reality of thoughts, how they arise and how they fade away. These can be learned through direct experience, not through reading books or memorizing texts. What I am trying to convey is what I have realized from direct experience, not from analytical thoughts or knowledge of texts. This realization is based on direct experience that everybody can achieve or realize for himself. When we practice on what we already have. We have body and mind. We practice by using our body as an object, our body's movement. When our body moves, when our hand moves, we should just be aware. The hand is real, the body is real, and our awareness of them is real and can be cultivated. The more we practice, the more awareness we accumulate. This way of practicing asks us to accumulate awareness, until it becomes the dominant quality of our minds. Once everybody has total awareness, everybody will be the same in the sense that their lives are normal. But if we do not have awareness, we behave differently out of hatred, greed, and delusion, which disrupts our lives so that we contradict each other, preventing harmony and creating disunity. So, the point is how to cultivate awareness. The key to Buddhist meditation is cultivating awareness, and I am going to instruct you how. Once we understand and practice by ourselves, we will know ourselves better and live our lives properly. Now I will demonstrate. Everybody, please place your palms on your thighs, sit comfortably, and open your eyes. First turn your right hand onto its edge from your thigh, raise it to the height of your chest, and move it to your abdomen. Turn your left hand from your thigh, raise it to height of your chest, and move it to your abdomen. Move your right hand to your chest, move it out, lower it to your thigh, and turn it down. Raise your left hand to your chest, turn it out, lower it, and turn it down. Again. Please try to be aware of every movement, aware, not focused. Feel the sensation of your body. Just make it natural. Just feel it. That is the way to develop awareness naturally. Sometimes thoughts will sneak into our minds, just open yourself up to them but don't follow them. Once we are aware of our thoughts, we return to our body, to the movement of our hands. This method does not encourage one to stop thinking but just to be aware of it. In fact, we cannot stop thinking because it is the nature of our mind to think. We should be open to all kinds of thoughts, but do not follow them or repress them. Just be aware. With awareness, we will be firm and not react to our minds, either positively or negatively. This is the introduction. I would like you to try, to practice, to feel yourselves and see how it affects your mind. When you place your hand on your thigh, do you know where your hand is? Once you know where your hand is, you have already cultivated knowingness, that is to know, to feel where your hand is. And the practice of mindfulness is based on this awareness. When you turn your hand on your thigh, do you know the position of your hand? You know where your hand is, right? Raise your hand. Is it on your thigh? Where is it? Who knows the position of your hand? You or other people? Can anybody know for you? Is it only you that can be aware of where your hand is? No, 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 be aware, be aware, be aware. Do not force your mind to focus or concentrate on every minute of your movements, just feel every step intervally, and don't focus your mind to feel like a straight line of feeling. That's not the right way. The only thing you have to do is be aware. Don't analyze or try to reason what you are going to do or why you are having such thoughts. Don't analyze or rationalize any of your thoughts. Do not make judgments, whether this thought is good or not, just be open to it, be aware of it, with no blame, no repression, and no stopping, just be receptive to the thoughts. This will enable awareness to develop quickly. Keep practicing, keep doing, and keep being aware of your body's movement. It does not need to be the movement of your hand, but can be the movement of your breath. When you breathe in and breathe out, these are also your body's movements. When you walk, try to be aware of your walk, be aware of whatever your movement is. Be aware of every position, and whatever you do try to be aware of only one posture. When you walk, just be aware of your walking, do not be aware of your breath. But if you want to be aware of your breath, that's okay as long as you choose only one object. Do not use too many objects or they will confuse you. The point is that whatever thoughts arise, just be aware, and come back to your body's movement. Do not be caught up in your thinking process or your thoughts. If you feel tired or tense after sitting for a long time, change your posture. While you change your posture, please be mindful, don't change it hastily out of impulse or out of unmindfulness. During your walking meditation, you can either fold your arms across your chest or clasp your hands behind your back. Keep your hands properly, it will enable you to walk slowly with mindfulness. About 8 to 12 paces of walking will do for the meditation. Do not walk for too long a length or your mind will be easily distracted. If you walk at my speed, in 1 hour you will walk 4,000 paces. If you know every pace, you already have 4,000 units of knowingness in 1 hour. It will accumulate and can change the quality of your mind. Anyway, if you become distracted or you forget and become unmindful, when you walk or move your hands, that's okay. Do not blame yourself or feel unhappy when this happens. Just let it go and start again. When a thought disturbs your mind, let it be. Do not try to repress or suppress it. Just feel open to it. It will fade away automatically. This is the nature of the mind that we can realize through meditation. Now, let's try to experience it ourselves. After practicing for an hour, you may come back and we will have a question and answer session for 30 minutes. How was your practice? When you felt distracted or caught up in your mind, did you see the difference between them? Did you realize when you were caught up in your thoughts? Did you see the difference when you came back to your body's movement, or became aware of the movement of your hands or walking? Once you did that, did you see that the thoughts just ceased or passed away? When you are caught up in your thoughts or overwhelmed by emotions, you may forget to move your hand, or you may move it but have no full awareness of your body. That's okay, but try to return to your hand's movement or to your walk. Once you are aware of your body's movement, you are already a practitioner. A Dhamma practitioner develops awareness. This is the only duty of the practitioner. The same goes for feeling. If you feel tense, physical pain, or tired, do not be overwhelmed by the unpleasant feelings. Just come back to your body's movement or just be aware and see the painful feelings. In other words, don't become lost, caught up in or overwhelmed by these unpleasant feelings, but be aware. Awareness will enable your mind and your life to go ahead without being interrupted by thoughts or feelings or any kind of disturbance. Thoughts will arise, feelings will disturb you, but if you have total awareness, you can go ahead without being stopped or blocked by these hindrances. You will go ahead, go straight ahead. For beginners, just cultivating awareness is enough. Do not try to achieve or gain anything. Do not expect any realization, any insight, or wisdom from the practice. Just awareness is enough for you at the present stage, and it will enable you to go ahead without any problems or difficulties. For the beginners, you may not sit longer if you wish, and the awareness may develop slowly, not smoothly. That's okay. Just try to keep practicing, and this will enable mindfulness or awareness to develop. Do not feel bad when you feel you are caught up in your thoughts, or in pleasant or unpleasant feelings, or you become forgetful of the practice. That's okay. Do not blame yourself. Do not feel depressed. Just come back to the practice, come back to be aware of your body's movement. When you keep practice, you keep accumulating awareness. You will begin to see, to realize, the nature of your mind. You will see that thought are one thing and mindfulness is another. The thoughts or feelings are not you, not yours, not me, nor mine. Previously, you may have thought that the thoughts are your thoughts, but in fact, they are not your thoughts. The thoughts are just there, but they are not yours. And this you can see, because of mindfulness. Mindfulness will separate you from the thought, so you can observe the thought without being identified with it, or take it to be you or yours. In the sutra, the Buddha advises us to contemplate, to be aware of body, feelings, and mind or the thoughts. These three aspects, body, feeling, and thoughts, are already with us, they are not something outside of us. We can use them for our spiritual well-being. In the past, when we wanted to stand up, we stood up instantly out of habit. But if we practice and develop mindfulness, before standing up, we will be aware of the desire to stand up. Thus we will stand up mindfully. We can apply this approach or this attitude to whatever activity we do, and our lives will be on the path to mindfulness. Meditation's priority is to develop awareness first. It is the crucial factor that needs to be developed during the practice. This is important because we are already good at analytical thinking. But we have to practice another quality of the mind, awareness. It will lead us to a realization through direct experience, that cannot be achieved through thoughts or the analytical mind. Any questions? If you want to ask, please ask based upon the experience that you have already had from your practice in the past few hours. Do not ask through the analytical mind. Question: the mind that gives rise to thought, the mind that's mindful, and the mind that is aware, are these minds the same? Answer: practically speaking, you can see the three. You can see the scattered thoughts, or you can observe the mind. This can happen when you are aware of your body. When you are aware of your body and a thought arises, your mindfulness will come and watch and be aware of your thoughts. You can see the differentiate between your thoughts and mindfulness or awareness. Without being aware of your body's movement first, it is difficult to see the difference between your thoughts and your mind. Question: when you observe a thought, is the thought in the past? Answer: once you are aware of a random thought, it is in the past, but if you are not aware of it, it is the present. The random or unintentional thought is the kamma, a kind of action, a mental action that can lead to other consequences, either good or bad. If you become aware of it, awareness will halt that mental action, thus getting rid of whatever consequences that might have happened. Question: is this practice of using your body as a meditative object for the training of samadhi? Answer: the awareness can lead to calmness, if you are caught up in or dwell on the calmness that is the samatha, calmness meditation. But if you lift your mind from the calmness and observe the calmness, then it is insight meditation. So it depends on how you deal with calmness. If you dwell in the calmness, it is a calmness meditation. If you observe the calmness, it will lead to insight meditation. Question: is this awareness the same as the Buddha's? Answer: the awareness mentioned above is the same as the quality of Buddhahood. It will lead to total insight. This kind of practice also includes the threefold training: morality, concentration, and wisdom. Question: do you mean that awareness includes threefold training? Answer: the threefold training is not awareness itself, but is based on awareness. You cannot keep precepts without awareness. Awareness will enable you to keep the precepts, sila. And awareness will enable you to develop concentration, samadhi, and to gain insight, panya. We need not waste time developing sila, samadhi, panya by different ways, but go directly to develop awareness, then sila, samadhi, panya will take place. According to the Buddhist canon, the Buddha said, self-awareness is the origin of wisdom, the parent, the source of righteousness. But unknowingness or unawareness is the source or the parent of all evils. Question: nowadays, young children seem to be practicing awareness all the time. Even we, when we are exposed to something new, seem to be more aware. It seems as if we come to this world practicing awareness, then we start thinking, then we have the same thoughts over and over, and that turns off our awareness. Why is this happening? Answer: it is because we have eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and body, the 5 sensual bases, and mind, the 6th base, to understand the world. We use these 6 bases to have contact with the world, and this leads us to a lot of concocted mind. We think a lot because we have a lot of contact with the outside world. That's why our minds become busy and keep thinking all the time. We ignore another quality of the mind, awareness. That's why we have to come back again, because we have ignored it for such a long time. We have occupied ourselves with thinking, because of our contact with the outside world through the 5 sensual bases. Awareness will liberate us from all unpleasant events and unfetter our minds. It will liberate us from all hindrances and fetters. I can assure you that awareness will rescue our lives. Regardless of nationality or race, we can be united. Regardless of our differences, we have one thing in common: awareness. Awareness is in every person. So, I would like to encourage you to develop awareness, so that we will go beyond nationality and race. After the practice, do you feel that you can get in touch with awareness, the awareness in your mind? It is an quality inherent in you, that leads you to get in touch with it? Question: it's very hard to slow my mind down. Answer: we are not going to stop the thinking process, we are not going to fight it. If you fight it, you are going to be tired, because it is very difficult. Just to be aware of it, just observe it, and it will pass away on its own. Do not try to get rid of it. If you try to get rid of it, you will feel exhausted. Sometimes, you may find your mind was more scattered during the practice than during your normal daily life. The more you practice, the more your mind is scattered. Sometimes this happens to practitioners, but that's normal. Just be aware of it and ignore it, and try to be aware of your body's movement. The more you keep coming back, the more awareness will accumulate. Just keep coming back. Do not try to fight your thoughts. June 1, 1997. Cultivating awareness. The Buddha said that there are 5 hindrances to meditation. The first is drowsiness, the second is agitation or restlessness, the third is doubt, the fourth is sensual desire, and the last is ill will, hatred, or irritation. Doubt means that one feels uncertain, whether the practice is right or wrong, so he just stays on the edge, and cannot commit himself to any kind of practice. You may encounter any of the 5 hindrances. That's alright, it's even beneficial. Try to observe the hindrance rather than following it, or being overwhelmed by it. To observe is to keep your mind from identifying with these 5 hindrances. For example, when you feel sleepy, instead of lying down and following the drowsiness, just try to observe it, and the awareness will lift your mind from being drowsy. Thus you can learn how to interact with restlessness, or with agitation. They are not bad. They can teach. Yet, there are people who, with total awareness in their minds, can go straight through their practice without being caught up in, or dwelling on the 5 hindrances. Awareness not only helps us overcome the 5 hindrances, but will also lead us beyond delusion to insight, or wisdom. When one is unmindful, unaware, or becomes caught up in one's thoughts, one cannot see things clearly and is overwhelmed by delusion. Yet once one becomes aware or free from the 5 hindrances, one can go further to experience insight. Because one accumulates awareness all the time, and awareness enables one to see things as they are, not distorted by bias or scattered thoughts, so that one can achieve insight. The insight that can be experienced from this method of meditation is the insight into the body and mind. You can see that the sense of us or me, in fact, is only the combination of body and mind. You will understand the nature of rupa, the form or body, and nama, the mind. You will see how they interact with each other. With this insight you will have a clear understanding that goes beyond the concept of me and mine, just body and mind, not the sense of self. With the insight into body and mind, you will know and be able to differentiate between thoughts and awareness. So far, you cannot differentiate between these two because they come together, but if you have insight from awareness, the thoughts and the one who thinks or observes can be differentiated. Such realization or such direct experience is what we call wisdom, because it liberates us from hindrances and suffering. It is wisdom, and at the same time it is magga, the path. It is both the path and the end, the wisdom. If you practice properly, you will see that at the beginning it is mindfulness, in the middle it is mindfulness, and at the end it is also mindfulness. It is both means and end, path and wisdom. What I just said is quite ahead of you. It is a state that you may not have experienced yet, but I wanted to inform you of what you are going to realize, if you practice properly and continuously. Please try to concern yourselves with what you are practicing now. Just be aware, and once you keep practicing, results will come on their own without any attempt on your part. Therefore, put your effort into the practice. Awareness from this practice will get rid of delusion. The more you are aware, the less you are unaware. Unawareness is identical to delusion or ignorance. If you accumulate awareness through this method, it will form a solid base for keeping moral precepts, for concentration, and for wisdom. You will live your life morally once you have full awareness. At the same time, you will also have calmness or concentration, once you are fully aware of what you are doing. Meanwhile, insight can take place with awareness. Thus, awareness can lead us to the totality of life, the totality of education or training. Awareness or mindfulness enables us to awaken. An enlightened one is one who has total awareness, total mindfulness. Buddha said many times that the Arahant, the enlightened one, is one who has full mindfulness and awareness in every moment of his life. His experience is like traveling in a freeway on which he can move ahead without any obstructions. Mindfulness is like this: you are not caught up in any thoughts, but move straight ahead in your life. You can learn a lot from this practice. You can understand a lot of things in Luangpor Teean's mind. It is as if your life is the texts, your practice is the texts, and you can gain a lot of knowledge from it. Your experience is the source of knowledge that will enrich you. I would like to persuade you to see for yourself. Try to see it, experience it, and it is within your capability to understand it. I would like to encourage you to learn more and more from the practice. This is not some kind of propaganda or an advertisement, but just an encouragement. Practice like this is sort of forming a new habit of awareness. Right now, we have the habit of unawareness, of doing things out of habit without awareness, but if we accumulate awareness, a new habit will be formed, and whatever we do, after we practice properly, we will be aware of our daily movements. But if we do not practice, we will easily fall back to delusion, to our forgetful habits. So, please try to accumulate awareness and try to be mindful. Another point that I would like to emphasize is that, awareness is not a quality confined to myself or monopolized by anyone. It's a quality inherent in all of you. You are all capable of increasing and developing your mindfulness, not only in this room but also in your daily lives. That's all I would like to share with you. The only thing you should do is to realize it yourselves. What I talked about is not for you to memorize but for you to experience yourselves through practice. Both of us will stay here for more than a month. Should you have any problems, please come and talk with us. Question: awareness is not limited to our hands movements only, right? Can it be expanded to things like scratching itches? Answer: that's right. Whatever you do, whether coarse or subtle, breathing or swallowing saliva, or even when you just raise your hand to get something, be mindful. Just be aware of whatever you are doing. That's the proper way to practice. Question: if one moves without awareness, is that ignorance? Answer: yes, that is a kind of ignorance. There are many kinds of ignorance. The most fundamental ignorance is of the things that cause suffering to you, whatever kind of thoughts or understanding that troubles you, or creates suffering for you. Question: the Buddha's awareness is the same awareness that we are talking about, except his awareness is continuous, right? Answer: yes, it is the same, but the awareness of the Buddha is not only continuous, but is also awareness in its totality, awareness that replaces ignorance to the extent that there is no residual of ignorance left. But for us, we still have ignorance, our awareness still broken. Question: what is the difference between the awareness of Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anakami, and Arahant? Answer: the awareness of these four enlightened beings are different in terms of degree, and also in terms of quality. The first stage of enlightened being, Sotapanna, has awareness that can get rid of the strong sense of self and uncertainty. The second stage of enlightened one, Sakadagami, can eradicate sensual desire and repulsion almost completely. For the Anakami, sensual desire and repulsion are eliminated completely. It is the different degrees of awareness that leads to different qualities. It is as though we are climbing up a ladder. In the first stage of enlightenment, the awareness is less powerful than that of the Arahant, or the last stage of enlightenment. For example, when we get angry at something, we will think about it over and over again. But for the enlightened one, especially the third one, Anakami, once anger occurs, it just happens and he can let go of it. It just occurs one time and then he goes beyond the anger. Anger is eradicated by total awareness, or wisdom. It's like a heated iron, once we touch it, we should feel the heat and never touch it again. For the enlightened one, anger is like a hot iron, once he touches it, he is aware of the heat from his anger, and will never return to and identify with it again. But ordinary people, not aware that anger is like a heated iron, just touch it over and over again without realizing that it is very harmful. The awareness that I mentioned, is the awareness that can enable us to see no self in the body, no self in feelings, no self in emotions, no self in thoughts. It is the awareness that can liberate us from suffering. Please do not just accept what I told you, see it for yourselves and practice until you can know it for yourselves. Then nobody can deceive you, nobody can mislead you, because you have already experienced it. What we should do is pay respect to the Dhamma, the highest refuge. You should not pay highest respect to me or to anybody else, but to the Dhamma that is already in everybody. Please pay respect to the Dhamma in ourselves. Be aware at every moment. When you go home, Try to maintain your awareness at all times. June 1, 1997. Knowing yourself. As I told you earlier, all of us are friends even though we have just met here, because we have been friends since our birth into this world. In Buddhism, friend has a broad meaning. All of us are friends because we are sentient beings. We all share the cyclic existence, all of us share birth, decay, aging, and, finally death as human beings. That is why we are all friends. Another thing that we have in common is that each of us has body and mind. Each of us has common characteristics. We all have 6 senses fields, we all have feelings, we all have emotions, and all of our mental activities and our physical bodies are subject to the same characteristics: impermanence, suffering, and no real self, no permanent self. These are the 3 common characteristics that all of us share. But there is something that makes us different from each other. That is our mental formations. We have different ideas, we have different opinions, we respond to our surroundings in different ways. It is our mental formations that makes us different from each other. However, these mental formations can be transformed, making us one, the same as a person. Previously, I said to many of us here that, despite our different characteristics, although there are various kinds of people, we can be the same if we have mindfulness. If mindfulness prevails in our lives, we will be the same, but it will be different if unawareness or unmindfulness prevail, because they make us behave differently and perversely. Anyway, I would like everyone here to feel comfortable when you are listening to Dhamma. You should feel comfortable because I am going to speak about what you already have: mindfulness, calmness, clear comprehension, and self-awareness. All of these qualities are already present in your mind. I would like to take this opportunity to share my experience of how to be one with the Dhamma, to apply and integrate Dhamma, or the truth, into our lives. 3 years ago, when I first came here, a Western student asked me, "What brings you here? What do you know? What knowledge do you bring with yourself?" I replied that the only knowledge that I have is knowledge of myself. I just know myself. So, he asked, "What do you mean by knowing yourself?" Instead of giving him the answer, I demonstrated by turning my hand on my thigh and resting it there. Then I asked, "Have you ever been aware of yourself while you rest your hand continuously for 7 days? Have you ever had that experience of knowing yourself, of being aware of yourself for 7 days?" He said, "No, I cannot do that, I do not have such experience." So I persuaded him to try cultivating awareness with the practice of raising the hand, dynamic or sathi meditation. Later, he had a glimpse of awareness, of knowing himself. Can you follow me? Am I difficult to understand? After practicing like this for 1 or 2 hours, the Western student came to see me and shook my hand, saying, "Oh, you are the one that I have been longing to find for many years." Knowing yourself is necessary, because if you do not know yourself you will be overcome by grief, selfishness, anxiety, ill will, and irritation. But once you are aware of yourself, you will be free from these sufferings. What we should learn and cultivate is the experience or state of mind that can liberate us from suffering, so that we can live without suffering. This is what I try to learn. I do not know how to make money or how to increase my pride, I do not search for honor or seek admiration. What I try to learn is the way out of suffering. The experience I mentioned is what we call Dhamma, or the truth. It is the truth that frees us from pain or affliction. It is the Dhamma that leads us to enlightenment, to be totally awakened. The truth, or Dhamma, is what makes one a Buddha. It is an experience can be shared not only by monks, but by everyone. This insight into nature brings us all into the oneness, to be the same. What I tell you is not speculation, but from experience developed by following the path of the Buddha. It is what the Buddha has already said. It is the outcome of the practice that the Buddha developed, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. That is, to be mindful of body, of feelings, of mental formations, thoughts, or emotions, and of all existence in nature. Question: can people who have jobs that require a lot of concentration, such as scientists, maintain awareness while concentrating on what they are doing? Answer: it is possible to have both concentration at work and awareness of what we are doing. In fact, concentration and awareness should go together. You cannot concentrate if you are not aware of your thoughts or of distractions. Once we are mindful, once we are aware of the distractions, we can concentrate because we are able to remove the distractions. Not only does mindfulness help us to concentrate on what we are doing, it also helps us to use our intelligence more effectively. Mindfulness is like the master who tells how to use our intelligence properly. If you do not have mindfulness, or if your mindfulness is very weak, it is not easy to use the intelligence and information that you already have in a beneficial way. Mindfulness is like the software that tells us how to retrieve the information for this purpose. In Thailand, we compare mindfulness to the captain who controls and guides the ship and intelligence to the engine. So the captain controls the engine in the same way that mindfulness controls intelligence, to make the most use of it. So the answer to your question is twofold: mindfulness and awareness are both important. They enable us to concentrate and to use our heads, or our intelligence, properly in a beneficial way. Question: when I have a lot of problems, I seem to lose awareness of my body. Is that okay? Answer: it is normal that at that moment you cannot be aware of your body, but you still have to be aware of the thoughts in your mind. It is okay, because awareness means being aware of both your mind and your body. For those who have to think, it is at that moment that they should be aware of their thoughts, but it is not necessary to be aware of their bodies. Question: when I am reading, I am not aware of anything else. Is that also a form of meditation? Answer: yes, it is a form of meditation, if you hear the noises around you but do not pay attention. If you concentrate on reading, but are aware once you feel something strange outside, and you can turn your attention from your reading to the outside, it is a form of meditation. But, if you concentrate and try to cut yourself off from your surroundings, then, it is not mindfulness meditation. Question: are mindfulness and awareness the same thing? Answer: technically speaking, they are not the same but work together very closely. Mindfulness means sati in Pali. Awareness means sampajanya. But sati and sampajanya are very close, they are twins. In Thailand we call both sati and sampajanya mindfulness. Practically, they are synonyms, but technically, they are different. Question: can you explain the difference? Answer: sati, or mindfulness, means recollection, or calling to mind. Awareness means you know clearly what is going on in your body and mind. They have to be together. Once you collect your mind on some particular moment or movement, you already have the clarity of that movement and of yourself. They go together. Awareness is the consequence of mindfulness. Mindfulness and awareness are the crown, or the peak, of all Dhamma, or all teachings. If we are mindful, if we are aware of ourselves, it is not possible for us to break morality, or sila. Once we are mindful, we are free from distraction, and concentration arises. This is samadhi. With awareness, our minds become clear. With such clarity, insight will arise. This is Hunyat. These three are the totality of Buddhist teaching. We call it the threefold training: training in higher morality, in higher concentration, and in higher wisdom. That is why mindfulness and awareness are called the crown of the Buddha's teachings. It is the teaching as a whole. With mindfulness and awareness, samatha and vipassana are possible. Samatha means calmness meditation, vipassana means insight meditation. These two types of meditation are possible with mindfulness and awareness. Question: the atmosphere was so dynamic, going from one thing to another, acquiring one thing and then another. It is desire, get, achieve, I had to leave. I found I was more centered when I reached home than I was at the monastery. Yet, the monastery is based on experience and wisdom, and it is this atmosphere the Buddha wants. I cannot explain why this is valid. I came 2 years ago to Chuangyen. There was the lake and the little pagoda but no statues, and today I come here and find size and quantity. I find a disturbance that was not here before. I am having a hard time placing myself in a peaceful relation to these. Can you comment on this? Answer: there are 4 aspects of Buddhism. The first is the teaching or state of mind that can be realized through the practice. Second is the tradition, customs, conventions, or rituals. Third is the material aspects, like buildings, temples, halls. The fourth aspect is the personnel, monks, nuns, laypersons. I try to emphasize the first aspect of Buddhism, that is the teaching or the experience that can be realized through the teaching. We should concentrate on this aspect. Do not pay much attention to the rest, the rituals, the buildings, or the personnel. If we focus on the teachings and the experience that can be developed from the practice, we will realize ourselves. So, I suggest you do not pay too much attention to the other 3 aspects or they will disturb your mind. It also happens in Thailand. There is much contradiction between teaching and practice, between the teachings and the monks themselves. Sometimes monks behave themselves badly, but this does not mean that you should ignore the Dhamma, the teachings. We have to separate the teachings and the personnel, the buildings, and the rituals. Sometimes the rituals contradict the teachings. Sometimes, monks are self-centered, practicing meditation without concern for the world. If we engage ourselves in these kinds of arguments, we cannot find peace. So, just keep practicing and try to put the teachings into practice. This does not mean that if one individual practices properly, the rest will follow. No, I only suggest that we start with ourselves. If we expect other people to start, if we expect other people will start without beginning with ourselves, then nothing will happen. Let us start with ourselves and then pay attention to the rest. I would like to share my experiences of when I was a young monk, just a beginner, starting to practice Sati meditation 30 years ago. The other monks, my friends, were not serious about the practice. They preferred chatting all the time, and many monks tried to engage me in their conversation. Many things around me were quite irritating, quite annoying. But I decided that I would not pay attention to my surroundings. I behaved myself properly and paid attention only to myself. If I engaged with my surroundings, with my fellow monks, I would not progress in the practice. So I just tried to concentrate on myself and ignore whatever was happening in the monastery. I started with myself first to make progress. But the most important hindrance is internal disturbances, not external ones. Previously, prior to coming to practice this method of meditation, I had practiced the calmness meditation, using my breath as the object of meditation to bring me calmness, a kind of trance and absorption. But when I started practicing Sati meditation 30 years ago, I doubted this method because it never gave me calmness. I was not sure whether I should pursue this method or not. There was a kind of irritation, annoyance, and uncertainty in my mind, which kept me from practicing Sati meditation earnestly, and this hindrance was more serious than any external annoyances. But once I made up my mind that I would practice Sati meditation without questioning, without reasoning, just experiencing directly with mindfulness, I felt that progress in the meditation had been made. So I would like to suggest you be aware of and concerned with the internal hindrances, that are more irritating than any external disturbances. To practice meditation, we have to be prepared to face a lot of problems. Before Buddha became enlightened, there were a lot of devils, or Maras. Mara is the deity which tries to subvert or undermine enlightenment. The army of Mara tried to disturb Buddha, to persuade him to stop practicing, even threatening the Buddha. A lot of warriors, a lot of Maras, came to try to overcome the Buddha. But with the strong determination, with the earnest attempt and strong will of the Buddha, he overcame the army of the Mara. So, I would like to encourage you to be prepared, to be determined to overcome all obstacles that you might face during the practice. Question: you talked about the internal disturbances. Could you tell the nature of them and how to control them? Can we be without any thoughts for a minute or even a second? Thoughts are what cause internal disturbances. How can you control them? Answer: try to be mindful, try to be alert and awake, don't follow or be carried away by our internal disturbances. For example, if you feel sleepy or drowsy, do not follow the drowsiness or be carried away by drowsiness. Stand up or rinse your face with water or try to be skillful. Create or invent a method that will enable you to be alert and awake. For instance, when you are sleepy, visualize the illumination of the sky, picturing a radiant sky. This will enable you to awake from drowsiness. Drowsiness is the first hindrance, or nivarana in Pali. Nivarana means hindrances that keep you from progressing in the path of enlightenment. Besides drowsiness, there are also irritation, restlessness, sensual desire, and ill will. These are the 5 hindrances that disturb you, and you should be prepared to deal with them. But first of all, you should realize that you are able to put an end to the hindrances. They will not haunt you permanently. With this hope, you can encourage yourself to not to fall under their control. These unwholesome qualities can be transformed. Irritation, drowsiness, restlessness, and annoyance can be transformed by mindfulness. Drowsiness can be transformed into awakening, laziness can be transformed into diligence, irritation can be transformed into peace. It is in our capacity to do that. But if you are skillful and learn how to encounter these unwholesome qualities with mindfulness, you will realize that all of these disturbing qualities can bring us wisdom. They can be our teachers. Drowsiness can teach us to be more intelligent. Irritation can teach us to be wiser. These can be accomplished by cultivating mindfulness. Do you want to try? Tomorrow we will start a 7-day retreat. I will take care of you if you would like to try, and I will not mislead you. I assure you that I will lead you down the right path. Question: why do you call it Sati meditation? It is supposed to be very calm and quiet. Answer: there are 2 kinds of meditation. Calmness meditation is one, but there is another kind of meditation that asks us to pay attention to awareness. What I teach is to encourage one to pay attention to awareness of the body's movements, taking bodily movement as the object of meditation to train one to be mindful. To pay attention or be aware of whatever movement you are making, whether you are standing or walking, pay attention. You are mindful of that present movement, it is the object of meditation. It is called Sati meditation, because it uses the body's movement as the object of meditation. It is called Sati because we do not sit in stillness, but create bodily postures as the object of meditation. Driving can be a form of meditation. Reading is also a form of meditation if you read properly. Sewing is too, as when I try to sew my robe for 9 days. Meditation is to pay attention to one thing with full awareness. Meditation is not necessarily closing your eyes and crossing your legs. Question: you said mental awareness of bodily motions was important. What if you are aware of something around you? Answer: in this practice, we are aware of our body's movement. This is the main posture, the main activity. But we are also ready to be aware of other things, either in our minds or outside in our surroundings. For example, when I am practicing, if a friend comes to ask for a needle to sew his clothes, I am ready to give him the needle while still keeping with the practice without talking to him. I just stand up and find the needle for him. After giving him the needle, I return to my practice. It means that I am ready to respond or to be aware of anything that occurs to me internally or externally. I do not cut myself off from my surroundings but am ready to hear the noises. If there is nothing special, I just pay attention to my bodily movement. Question: you are also a social worker. Do you teach Sati meditation to the people you serve, and how effective is it in helping them? Answer: I teach many who are receptive to my teachings, but there are still a lot who do not practice what I try to teach, because they are busy, occupied with their careers. Most of them are busy farmers with no opportunity to practice. I myself have to preserve the forest by my temple, keeping the illegal loggers away. Sometimes I try to teach them meditation too, but it is not easy. Drug addiction is also a problem in my village. I try to recruit the young villagers who are addicted to drugs to enter the monkhood, and train them for a month. They are okay when they are monks, but when they disrobe they become addicted again. I do not know how to help them. Thai villages are transforming. A lot of modern illnesses and problems are arising on the village level. Not only poverty, which is the last problem. The new problems are drugs, divorce, the breakdown of the family and the rise of single-parent families. These kinds of problems are spreading even in the villages. Our village is quite remote but still has such problems. Now, only the old and the children are in the villages. The young people, both men and women, have gone to the city. The village is going to break down. Community life is breaking down. I hope that America will be the center of Buddhism in the future. Is that too optimistic? But it is possible, because the American people are intelligent and earnest in their practice of Buddhism. Question: can Luangpor elaborate more? Why will America be the center of Buddhism in the future? Answer: American people are intelligent. They also take meditation seriously compared to the villagers. For example, in my area, the villagers have to go out to the fields really early in the morning, cutting the sugar cane, so they have no time to visit the temple. They are busy all the time. But here, many of you live far away but can still spare the time to come here to practice meditation, while my villagers living next door to the temple have never showed up. June 8, 1997. Realizing the true nature. This is a good opportunity for all of us here, to practice in order to understand and realize the true nature of ourselves, and the true nature of reality. There are a lot of people that cannot spare the time to practice here, but all of us here are committed to the practice. So, from now on, I would like to give meditation instructions. In the time of the Buddha, we did not have a tag that says, silent meditation to refrain from conversing with others. But it is in accordance with the principle that the Buddha established, that it is good for one to not see, hear, or talk while he is practicing meditation. If we have to speak, we should speak mindfully; if we have to see, we should see mindfully; if we have to hear, we should hear mindfully. We come here to practice meditation, to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness is already a quality of our mind. Practicing meditation to cultivate mindfulness, we encounter a lot of obstacles, a lot of disturbances both in our minds and from the outside. So we should learn how to cope with them skillfully. For example, when you practice, you may feel pain, be tense, or tired after sitting for a long time. You need to change your posture, changing your position from sitting to standing or walking. But before standing up, you should remind yourself to stand up mindfully. Do not stand up out of habit or stand up unconsciously, but do it mindfully, with full awareness. This is the technique that I would like to share with you. Try to allow mindfulness to guide our behavior. When we are tired of walking and would like to sit, we should be aware of the desire to sit. The desire to sit and the awareness of it are different. With awareness, we can see our desire, our need to sit. Once we can see clearly, we are aware of our desire to sit, then we start to sit. This is how we use mindfulness to lead or guide our behavior. Do not be overwhelmed by feelings of pain, tension, or physical strain. Try to resist our habitual tendencies, because our habitual tendencies will lead us to delusion, to forgetfulness, and to ignorance. It is tempting to abandon our practice, so we have to resist, to go against the stream of habit. For example, before the Buddha's enlightenment, he sat near a stream and was determined to practice to the end until he reached enlightenment. Since he was not sure whether he would achieve enlightenment or not, he put a plate on the stream to see whether it could go against the stream or not. If it could go against the stream, that would mean he would achieve enlightenment, and he found that the plate could go against the stream. This is analogous to his determination to resist the habitual tendencies, which led him to enlightenment. So, I would like you to try to follow his path, to always be aware. Be constantly aware of your body's movements. When you raise or move your hand, keep being aware of your body's movement. Do not let yourself stuck on anything else, be it high or low, pleasant or painful. Just be aware of your body's movements. For beginners, I would like to suggest you meditate in two postures, sitting and walking, sitting and moving your hands in a rhythmic pattern. But, if you want to try to meditate with breathing, and you feel that it can develop your mindfulness, that is fine. However, I would like you to practice in only two postures. Try not to use the lying posture because it is not good for mindfulness. Also, in daily life, keep practicing mindfulness when you are changing your posture. For example, when you go to the dining hall or to the toilet, be mindful in every posture, in every movement you make, whether it be in this room or outside. Avoid judging whether this is right or wrong, or keeping asking yourself, am I doing this correctly? Try to avoid the sense of right or wrong. Keep practicing, simply practice. Do not be anxious. Avoid skeptical doubts. Just keep practicing and try to be aware of what you are doing. That is all. It is not too complicated. For beginners, avoid worrying about the method, because it will obstruct your practice. Just go ahead and practice and you will learn from your experiences. Otherwise, you will keep questioning yourselves and halt your practice. If you have questions, feel unsure, or feel doubt about the practice, come to see me. Do not ask other people. Do not worry about right or wrong, do not keep asking yourself whether you are practicing right or wrong. Your direct experience will tell you. The truth will reveal itself. When you practice, you become aware of mind and body. The insight into your mind and body, the insight into the nature of mind and body, will tell you without your asking yourself whether this is right or wrong. Let the direct experience tell you. Question: what is awareness? Answer: awareness is to be aware of the sensations of the body, to be aware of what you are doing at the present moment, whether it be eating, or some particular meditation object that you choose, such as breathing. If you choose breathing as the object of meditation, you become aware of that. That is the awareness that I mentioned. Just be aware of the whole process, not the details. Place your hand on your thigh. Are you aware of it? Right hand up. Are you aware? Just be aware that your hand is on your thigh, that is okay. Then, raise it up and move it to your abdomen. Turn up your left hand. Be aware. Raise it up and move it to your abdomen. Move your right hand to your chest. Turn it out and lower it to your thigh, and turn it down. Raise your left hand to your chest, turn it out, lower it, turn it down. Again. Are you really aware of the movement of your hand? Do you just think that you are aware, or do you really experience the awareness? Now, pay attention to your breathing. Inhale, exhale. Can you feel the sensation at the tip of your nose or at your abdomen? Question: can one observe the tip of his nose and abdomen at the same time? Answer: you have to choose. How is your awareness? It does not matter what object you are going to be aware of. You can move or shake your fingers and use them as the object of your awareness. It is the same awareness. You can apply it to other positions or other postures. Try whatever gives you clear awareness. Sometimes you may feel doubts, and the awareness is not clear after practicing for a length of time. You may need to change your posture, to raise your hand, to touch your body, or to breathe, changing your object of meditation to breathing. Just be aware when you are changing your posture, so you feel the new sensation. But this is only temporary. Afterward, you will resume your main posture, sitting or walking. After repeating it, you may feel drowsy because of the repetition. You become sleepy. You need to change and then resume the main posture. It is a technique to awaken yourself so that you can have clear awareness. Awareness becomes clearer and clearer with your alertness. It is enjoyable if you try to use variations, try to initiate, invent, or apply many things to yourselves to solve your problems. You will enjoy this and be at ease. Easy. My master sometimes changed to the posture of paying respect to be alert, to awaken himself. As for walking meditation, try to either fold your arms across your chest or clasp your hands behind your back, and walk not too slowly and not too quickly, about 8 to 12 steps. Do not gaze too far. Do not lower your head too much. Just stare at the floor about 2 meters from your feet. If you gaze too far, you will be distracted, but if you lower your head too much, you will feel tense. Feel free to choose any posture you like, but try to spend a length of time with the posture you choose. Do not keep on moving or changing all the time. When you feel tired with a posture, do not change it suddenly. Try to delay, to go beyond the time limit, try to go a little bit further. If you feel tired and you change postures right away, that is not good. Try to go further to strengthen your will, your mind, your determination, and your body. When you move your hand, keep your eyes open. Do not close them. You may feel sleepy if you close your eyes. I do not have a problem when I practice with closed eyes because I do not feel drowsy. The first hindrance is sleepiness or drowsiness, and you may be stuck in the calmness. You will feel attached to the calmness from meditation, and it will give you nothing but calmness, no insight, no clarity of mind. So do not become stuck in the calmness. When you repeat your practice and do not have many distractions, it is easy to be calm and then become attached to it, and then stuck in it. Feel relaxed when you walk or raise your hand. Do not be tense or try to achieve anything, otherwise you will become tense or worried whether the practice is right or wrong. You will be distracted. Just feel relaxed and do it with ease. If you feel relaxed, you can overcome a lot of difficulties. In Thai, there is a saying that says, "Face the tiger with a calm and cool mind." So do not take it seriously, do not try to get it right. It is okay if your mind wanders or is carried away. That is okay. Start again. There was a story of a Zen monk. A woman was pregnant out of wedlock and her parents asked her who the father of the baby was. The lady, since she did not want to disclose the identity of the baby's father, said that a Zen monk in the local temple was the father. So the parents went to the temple and cursed him. The monk just replied, "Is that so?" He never replied more than that. Later, the baby was born. The parents took the baby to him since he had to be responsible for the baby. The monk just said, "Is that so?" He never complained or denied the accusation. He just took care of the child. But later on, the lady felt guilty that she had caused a lot of trouble for the monk, so she confessed to her parents who the real father of the baby was. The parents felt bad that they had treated the monk very badly. So they went to the temple and asked for forgiveness. But the Zen monk just replied, "Is that so?" This is a stable mind. The mind that keeps constant never changes. Whatever situation it is, be it good or bad, the mind is still the same, the behavior is still the same. That is all for tonight. June 8, 1997. The balance of the mind. You have to bear in mind that words or language have their limitations, they cannot express or convey all conditions of mind, but you can see for yourself what happens to your mind during the practice. We try to cultivate awareness of our body's movements. To do that we have to keep our minds in balance. If our minds turn outward, that is they are distracted by external conditions or overwhelmed by stimulated thoughts, we cannot have clear awareness. At the same time, if our minds turn too much inward, we are easily tense because we focus too much on trying to stop our thinking. This will not enable us to have clear awareness either. Turning too much outward or inward is not good for us, so we should try to keep our minds in balance, neither carried away by thoughts nor trying to stop thinking. When I was a young monk practicing with Luangpor Teean, I practiced in a small cottage with closed windows and closed door. Luangpor Teean came to see me. He stood outside my cottage and asked me from outside, "Can you see me?" I replied, "I cannot see you." "Why?" he asked. "Because I am in the cottage and you are outside," I replied. Luangpor Teean then asked, "How can you see me?" I replied, "I have to open the door so that I can see you." So, Luangpor Teean asked me to open the door. When I opened the door, he asked me to stand at the threshold and then asked me, "Can you see me?" I said, "Yes." "So, you can see outside of your cottage?" "Yes," I replied. He asked, "Can you see inside your cottage?" I said, "Yes." So, Luangpor Teean emphasized, you should practice like this, that you can see both outside and inside, not to practice with the closed mind that you cannot see anything but inside yourself. This is not a good practice. You should practice with a mind that can see outside and inside. This is what he taught me. Luangpor Teean's instruction will be fruitful if we do not only reflect it, but try to follow or bring it into practice. If we just speculate on he taught, it is useless. We have to bring it into practice and see for ourselves how it works. The point that Luangpor Teean emphasized is to keep our mind in the middle, not too much outward nor too much inward. The only way to do that is to feel, to stay on the basis of awareness. In order to have clear awareness, we have to keep our minds in balance, neither falling into distractions nor forcing our minds to concentrate, or putting much focus on any one point of the body. To be aware is to see, to notice the heat, to notice the cold, to notice pleasure, to notice pain, to be aware when our minds become high, and also to be aware when our minds become low, not to fall or be overwhelmed by each opposite of our mental states. Just let go of high and low, heat and cold, keep your mind unaffected by them. This is the middle way. This is the path that the Buddha described, the middle way. Those who force the mind to concentrate on the body's movement, or try to stop thinking, are what he described as trying to turn inward. That is, trying to stop thinking, or trying to force the mind to focus on a particular point of the body's movement. It is easy to get physical problems doing that. You may find it difficult to breathe or feel your chest tense. In this situation, it will be more fruitful to turn our minds outward, to our surroundings. For example, for anyone who has such symptoms, or is tense because of an overly inward-oriented mind, I would try to persuade that person to notice his or her surroundings. That is to turn their minds outward so that it will be in balance. In this case, outward orientation or outward attention is useful. It is not bad all the time. It can be useful, if we are to solve the problems of balancing our minds. A few years ago, there was a case in Thailand where a villager, who was very earnest in the practice, took his practice very seriously to the point of where his hands became so stiff, he could not move them. He did not show up for the morning chanting session, which started around 4 o'clock, and I did not see him in the dining hall at breakfast time either. I wanted to see what happened, so I went to see him at his cottage after breakfast, and found him sitting with his hands stuck to his abdomen. Once he saw me, he asked for my help. He said that his hands had been stuck like that since 3 o'clock in the morning, and that it had already been 6 hours since he could not move. He said he asked for help, gave blessings to the sentient beings, but it did not help. I know that his mind was turned too far inward. So, I tried to speak with him to push his mind outward, to involve him in outward conversation. I had a conversation with him in order to let his mind out of that situation. I asked him, "How many children do you have?" He replied, 3. So I asked, "Do you miss your children?" He said, "Yes." "How are you planning to help your children when they grow up?" I asked. He started telling me his plan for helping his children. Unconsciously, his hands fell down, and he did not even realize it, still talking, replying to me. A few minutes later, he found that, oh, his hands fell down. It happened because his mind became interested in something outside, his mind became balanced, and the problem of his hands was solved by itself. This is an example of how problems can be solved if we try to keep our minds in balance. So, please take advantage of whatever happens to you, whether it be distraction, tension, or repression. Do not feel it is useless. When you feel distraction, it is useful if you try to learn from it. You can learn a lot from whatever happens to you. So, make the best use of it. Do not feel bad when your mind is carried away by thoughts or feels scattered. It can reflect a lot about yourself and the nature of your mind if you pay attention to it. Take it easy, feel relaxed when you practice. For me, I have no problem sitting or walking for a long time without being tired, because I feel relaxed and I take it easy. Whatever happens to you, do not become fussy or frustrated. When you lose awareness, or when you become stuck in your thoughts or in your thinking process, do not be fussy about it. Just feel that it is alright and then come back to the awareness. With this kind of attitude you will feel comfortable, and will get through any kind of problem. You may face not only tension or frustration, but also drowsiness or anxiety. But if you take it easy with the effort, with the attempt to resist these tendencies, you will overcome all of them. Any questions? Question: you just mentioned that when you reflect you can understand more about yourself, but during the practice, aren't we supposed to not think and just be aware? Answer: yes, at this time you need not to investigate. Just be aware of it, just see it, that is enough. You will finally understand the thoughts, so you need not investigate. Just being aware of them is enough. I would like to add that once you have a better understanding of yourself and your mind, you should be careful not to fall into the trap of knowledge. Just knowing that you know is enough. If you become excited with your knowledge, it can distract you or obstruct you from being aware of your body. Question: does the knowledge obstruct because you are thinking too much? Answer: it is a trap. It obstructs the practice because when you know more and more you become fascinated by knowledge. When you know more and more, you tend to follow the flow of the knowledge and then you lose the practice of awareness, wisdom, or insight into the nature of body and mind. You will have an understanding about wholesome, unwholesome, sin, and merit. You will understand the three common characteristics: impermanence, suffering, and no self. You will realize that you can be a monk in essence though you are a layperson. Some monks, after practicing and achieving such insight, exclaim that, "This is the first time that I feel as though I am a real monk. Just today I became a monk." Despite the fact that they had been ordained for many years, they felt that they were not monks until then. Question: someone else suggested that, and I have tried it a couple times. After you practice a long time, you feel very well and calm. That is a good time to think about what you want to do in the future, because your mind is very clear at that point. Answer: there is no problem if you know when to finish. There are some artists who use meditation to calm the mind in order to paint. But I would like to say that meditation is not only for work, or solving practical problems. You should aim beyond that, to remove suffering. We should use meditation for a higher purpose than solving the practical problems of daily life. Just keep this in mind so that we can make the most of it. Do not try to achieve anything. Do not try to achieve supernatural powers, or want to be better than other people, to compete with other people, or to have a special mystical power. Do not have such an attitude or it will obstruct the practice. I would like to give another example. One monk in Thailand had achieved a lot before his entrance to the monkhood. He was a member of parliament, he had achieved everything he wanted to achieve. So his mind was achievement-oriented, and when he became a monk, he still had this attitude. When he practiced, he tried to achieve spiritual power, he tried to attain insight, the higher wisdom. He drove himself to practice a lot until his mind became out of balance. When he met me, He asked me, "Do you see that my robe is full of lotus? I am not an ordinary monk now." I took this monk out of the temple and tried to help him become normal. I took him to see the flowers, the trees, talked to him and made him forget the practice for a while, so that he became relaxed and felt better. But do not worry that you will be like him. I can assure you that I will take you to the right path. If you stay firm in your awareness and don't expect anything more than awareness, you will be all right. Question: was he practicing with Luangpor or with someone else? Answer: with another master. He was just visiting the temple. After a brief chat, I knew that the monk had a problem. Question: it is interesting that this monk would trust Luangpor. If they do not trust, the problem cannot be solved. Answer: it has nothing to do with trust. Because if we have the means to solve the problem, we just talk with him personally, and if we know how to help him get out of the trap that he is falling into, then we can help. In fact, this problem can be solved by itself, but it takes time, probably 10 days if nobody helped him. Question: I think maybe I am too inward in my practice, because when he told his interesting story I realized that all the tension in my back was leaving. After I went outward and listened to his story, I started to forget all about the pain. I still have a congested head, but I can see now that my back tension is releasing. Answer: it is okay. Whatever happens, do not be worried. You should learn how to solve the problem yourself. For example, when you become tense, try to look outward, see your surroundings and pay attention to them. This will help balance your mind. Question: I have noticed that when I go outside to walk around the pond, I feel more relaxed than I do in here. When I work in here, I feel more tense. When I work out there, it feels lighter to me. Answer: do not worry about whether your practice is right or wrong, do not try to achieve the right practice, just keep your mind relaxed and feel comfortable, going beyond anxiety or desire. Question: Luangpor mentioned earlier that hindrances can be helpful, so sleepiness or things like that can be helpful, we just need to resist them. I am just thinking, for example, that today I feel drowsy, and I have been staying with it. I am just thinking that maybe it is helpful sometimes to just go take a nap. When you wake up you feel refreshed, then you can practice better instead of trying to stay with it for a long time. Answer: if your body needs rest or feels physically tired, taking a nap is alright. Even the Buddha suggested you do that if your body needs it. But we should not take a nap on every occasion, just special occasions. If you take a nap every time you feel drowsy, you will not go anywhere. Question: in Sati meditation, we use our body's movement as the object of meditation. While doing the practice, there are other sensations of the body taking place, such as the stomach growling, legs going numb or coughing, etc. Where do we place awareness? Answer: when you cough, do it mindfully. When you feel tense or when you feel tired or have physical pain, sometimes it is not good to resist it. You have to reduce that pain by changing your position from sitting to walking, etc. You have to learn how to reduce this kind of suffering, it also depends on the case. For example, when you feel pain at your neck, you are aware of it, but you should not concentrate on or pay attention to it. You should just continue the awareness of your hands movement. But if you feel tired and your body needs to relax, then you should change postures, or if you have gas in your stomach, the gas should be released mindfully. Question: can you define mindfully, please? Answer: you are aware of it. Mindfulness and awareness are interchangeable. Practically speaking, they are the same, concomitant, twins. So, to be mindful is to be aware of that particular thing. Question: but when you talk about awareness, you are talking about your senses, right? What you feel, what you taste, what you hear, what you see, that is all part of awareness, right? Answer: yes. Knowing what you see and what you hear is awareness. But for the practice, you just pay attention to the object of meditation, like the body's movement. Once, while I was practicing sitting meditation, a big snake moved towards me and it seemed to me that it did not realize that I was in front of it. So, I tried to stop it and make it aware that there was a person in front of it. I threw a matchbox in front of it, and it raised its head once it realized that there was something in front of it. Once I knew it was a cobra, I tried to protect myself without fear, without nervousness or anxiety. Since at that moment, I knew I should not move hastily, I did it mindfully, grasping my robe to protect myself. I prevented the cobra from biting me. June 9, 1997. The Threefold Training. We have to study ourselves to gain a better understanding of ourselves, otherwise, we will become the victim of suffering. Suffering will become our master, and control our minds. If we know ourselves, we become our own masters and can live our lives accordingly. Within ourselves, there is both heaven and hell, merit and evil. Our mind can be the source of happiness or the source of suffering. Pleasure and pain are inside ourselves, as are all states of mind. If we know ourselves better, we will learn how to make our lives happy and free from suffering. There is no better way to understand ourselves, to work and see ourselves internally, than practicing meditation. But normally people are not much interested in meditation. Buddhadasa, a great monk in Thailand who passed away recently, once said that people tend to respect monks, but they never listen to them or put their teachings into practice. Mindfulness meditation is the shortcut to the heart of the nature of our minds and bodies. It will lead us straight to the core of reality, that is the body and mind. There is no way for us to gain a better understanding about mind than mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness helps us attain wisdom or insight into body and mind. It helps us to be clear and remove any doubts we may have about ourselves. During the practice, you may ask yourself, what am I doing? Why did I come here? What is the purpose of meditation? Will it work for me? Or you may ask yourself, is there heaven or hell? These are all questions that I asked myself 30 years ago when I was still a layman. When I met Luangpor Teean, my master, he persuaded me to practice with him. He said that, all of these questions will be answered if you practice with me. What we are doing here is trying to follow the path of the Buddha. The Buddha once said that all of us are subject to suffering. We have suffering in front of us. It has penetrated into the deepest core of our existence. Suffering dominates our lives, so we should be aware of it and try to find the way out of it. We come here to practice meditation in order to get rid of suffering. This method of practice enables us to see the reality of body and mind, to see how suffering is created. It is created from our attachments to body and mind. We are attached to anger or the many kinds of emotions, despite the fact that there is no real self in those emotions. That state of mind has no substantial reality. But we still cling to it, which leads to suffering. Mindfulness enables us to see clearly that our attachments create suffering and misery. It helps us see the body as it is, a combination of various factors. The fundamental elements that comprise the body are earth, fire, water, and wind. We can see clearly how these four fundamental elements make up the body. We can see clearly that the body is not self. There is no self in the body. It is just the combination of these four fundamental elements. Meditation will also enable us to see the nature and conditions of the body. All questions about the body will be solved and we will not have any questions anymore about it. The same goes for the mind, we will understand the mind with mindfulness. There are thousands of different mental activities of the mind mentioned in the Tripitaka, or the Buddhist canon. These can be understood by us, if our mindfulness is developed enough. During your practice, a lot of thoughts arise in your mind and you may often be disturbed by them. Once you know yourself clearly, you will see that suffering is caused by your attachment to thoughts and emotions. When we hear a noise, we react to it, we are attached to it, and we make judgments about it. The noise is good, the noise is bad. Whatever we see, whatever we have contact with, we always react to it and make judgments, good or bad, pleasure or displeasure, satisfactory or dissatisfactory. We are not aware that we should not be attached to these objects because they have no self, it is just a thought, not the self, and we should not make it personal. There is no person in that thought, but because of our ignorance, we grasp it and take it to be a person or make it personal by attaching ourselves to it. Mindfulness meditation helps us to see, to go beyond convention. Conventions are not the ultimate reality. They are what we assume them to be. You assume that this is good, that this is bad, I am the monk, you are the layperson, this is Guanyin Bodhisattva, etc. We are attached to convention and this makes us suffer. If we see the ultimate reality, we will see and understand that convention is just what we agree upon together. With this insight, with this understanding of conventional reality, suffering has no basis of existence. Suffering exists because we are attached to conventional reality. Once we have insight into conventional reality, and understand that it is not the ultimate reality, suffering cannot be sustained. This is the ultimate insight that we can attain if we develop enough mindfulness. The practice covers the whole aspects of the training according to Buddhism. According to Buddhism, there are three aspects of the training we call the threefold training: training in higher morality, training in higher concentration, and training in higher wisdom. When you practice and develop awareness, the awareness will keep you moral, because if you have awareness, you will not be inclined or tempted to conduct evil. Awareness will enable you to be calm and have a peaceful mind. And, obviously, awareness will bring you to wisdom, to have insight into the nature of reality. You can see that whatever object we have contact with, there is no real self, no independent or substantial self that we can attach to. This will enable us to see reality as it is, to see how impermanent it is, to see how suffering it is, to see that there is not a self that we can attach ourselves to. Everything will be seen under this framework as being impermanent, suffering, and no self. We see what is subject to impermanence, what is subject to suffering, what is subject to no self. We let it be as it is. We are not attached to it. These are the insights that we can gain from the practice. With the insights I mentioned to you, our lives will not be harmful to either other people or to ourselves, because there will be no base for hatred, greed, or delusion to exist. We know that there is no permanent self for us to attach to, so we will feel free, we will feel independent because we have nothing to be worried about. I can assure you that this practice is the way to the noble path, to a noble being, to a noble life. It will lead to the truth that can be shared by everybody, realized by everybody. It cannot be deceived or distorted because it is already inherent in all of us. There is a saying in Thailand that morality will bring us happiness, a peaceful life, and enlightenment. The morality that I mentioned can be achieved by being mindful, by cultivating mindfulness, and it can be assured by the practice that I suggest and instruct you in. Anyway, what I teach is from experience. What I say now may repeat what I said before. It may not flow vertically or continuously, but it is the experience that comes from my heart and can be shared by anybody who practices. Enlightenment means there is no self to suffer, the self vanishes, so there is no base for suffering to exist. We do not need to act out of desire for enlightenment. We just practice, simply practice, and realization will come to us naturally because we carry out our actions. We make the cause and the outcome will take place independent of our desire. Enlightenment has to take place because we have created its cause. According to the law of causality, once we do this, that will happen whether you like it or not. So, you just practice. Action is called karma. If you do it this way, it will lead to the result which is independent of our desires. It just happens. Enlightenment that is not experienced by us is just convention, just a concept, even if you call it by other names, no suffering or freedom. Anyway, the point is that we just try to reach the state of no self where there is no suffering. If there is self, suffering can happen. If there is no self, suffering cannot be sustained. It is not desire because enlightenment is already in ourselves, hell and heaven are already in ourselves, everything is in ourselves including enlightenment and the path. So it is not something out there to be desired or grasped. You need not think about it. You can realize it if you practice enough. For example, does anger last? No. Have you ever acted out of anger? Yes. When you get angry and you fight back, anger fades away and is replaced by sympathy or guilt. So, you can see that anger has vanished and was transformed into other kinds of emotions. The same also applies to suffering. In fact, it does not last long unless we attach ourselves to it. If we are not attached to suffering, it will dissipate. This can happen if we have insight. Whatever we encounter, we will understand that it is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and no self. We will discard it easily without attaching to it. We let it go like garbage. There are many kinds of garbage: paper, plastic, recyclable or non-recyclable. We throw the garbage out according to its category. The same applies to whatever experiences we have. Once we make contact with any kind of object, we let it go. We discard it according to its nature: this is impermanent, this is suffering, or this is no self. All experiences can be perceived into three characteristics, and we just let them go according to their nature. If we live our lives this way, our lives become holy, pure, clean, and free from defilement. It is as if nothing can make us impure. This holy life will make everyone a monk. Everybody here can be a monk. It is a state of mind, a state of pure holy life. In the Buddha's time, there were many established lay people that could be called monks or a noble one, because they were free from suffering. All teachings of the Buddha are centered on these three: impermanent, unsatisfactory, and no self. In the first sermon of the Buddha, he asked the 5 ascetics who would become the first group of noble beings, "Is there anything permanent?" They replied, "No, everything is impermanent." Buddha asked, "What is impermanent is suffering, isn't it?" They replied, "Yes, what is impermanent is suffering, or the causes of suffering." "So, whatever is subject to suffering is without self, isn't it?" he asked. "Yes," they replied. So, once the 5 ascetics understood that everything is no self, they were enlightened. So, this is the key teaching of the Buddha, the 3 common characteristics. Very few people teach this doctrine. It was fortunate for me that Luangpor Teean taught me about this reality. Cyclic existence is in the present moment, it happens in this life, it is not the bardo or the next life. Our present life is governed by the cyclic existence. Take the smoker for instance. The cyclic existence is composed of 3 factors: defilement, action, or conduct, and consequence or result. The smoker has a desire to smoke, and once they smoke there is addiction, and addiction leads to desire to smoke more, and it becomes a cycle: desire, smoke, addiction, desire, smoke, addiction. This is the cyclic existence. This cycle can be broken if the smoker rejects or abandons this habit. No smoke, no addiction, no desire. This finally leads to enlightenment. Once the cycle is broken, Nibbana can be realized. Because there is no desire, no action arises. Once there is no action, no desire, and no addiction take place, everything becomes normal, becomes cool. Nibbana is the state of coolness. June 10, 1997. Seeing the mind. We are now following in the footsteps of the Buddha. What we are doing now is practicing what the Buddha instructed us in, that is training ourselves to be aware of body, feeling, thoughts, and mind objects. But we should learn how to do it properly, otherwise we may suffer because of the feelings, thoughts, or mind objects that arise. Our practice may be delayed or obstructed by a lot of things, such as thoughts. In fact, what we should do is just be aware of them, but sometimes we act upon them, and thus another kind of thoughts arises. It is a kind of dual or two layers of thoughts, we act upon creating more thoughts. It is not the primary thoughts that create suffering for us, but the secondary thoughts. This reaction or response to thoughts makes us unhappy and will delay our practice. So, please avoid reacting to thoughts, just be aware of them, and then let them go. In Thai, meditation practice is called Hapathibat. Hapatha means to return. What we are doing now is returning, bringing our minds back home. We tend to be driven by emotions, thoughts, feelings, and elemental conditions. They drive our minds away from home. So, we have to bring our minds back home. This means we have to resist, to go against the stream of habit, go against the stream of thoughts or emotions. Normally, we tend to follow our thoughts, but now we try to resist them, to go against habit, and return to awareness. Awareness is our home. We have to turn our minds back to awareness, to bring our minds back home. Awareness is the point of reference, it is like a pillar that we have to grasp firmly, in order to return and not be driven by any kind of mental conditions. Mindfulness meditation covers two kinds of meditation, namely, calmness meditation and insight meditation. The point is to be aware of the body and to be aware of the mind, to be aware of feelings, thoughts, and mind objects. It does not mean that you have to stop your thoughts, just see them, simply know them. When you think or when thoughts arise, just be aware of them, whenever thoughts arise, just be aware of them, no matter how often they arise. It does not matter if you have a lot of thoughts, but the point is that once one arises you are aware of it. If you have 100 thoughts, you should be aware of all 100 of them. It is not how rarely or how frequently you think, but how often you can be aware. This is what we call self-awareness, to be aware of our own thoughts. This is what Luangpor Teean emphasized. Do not be worried if you have a lot of thoughts. What you should do is be aware of whatever or whenever thoughts arise, that is all. That is the practice. If we want to attain calmness or peace, we may try to stop our thoughts or stop the thinking process, this will lead us to the calmness meditation. It will bring us only calmness and peace to our mind. This practice is like putting a stone on top of grass. The grass cannot grow. But once you move the stone, the grass will grow again. So, this kind of calmness meditation is beneficial only when you practice it. When you stop practicing it, your mind will be the same as before. So, we are not going to do that. What we are going to do is not to stop thinking but to be aware of it, to be familiar with our thoughts. The more we are aware of our thoughts, the more we are familiar with them. We will be so familiar with them that we can point our finger at them, and tell them that we will not be their victims again. We will not follow them again. This is what we are trying to do, to understand our thoughts clearly and directly, knowing that they are only the concocted or compounded beings that deceive us. But once we know this clearly, they cannot deceive us anymore, and we become their masters. We will understand that thoughts are not self, they are just the result of the concocting mind. Many practitioners or meditators may at one point be overwhelmed by various kinds of thoughts. It is like an army of thoughts is bombarding your mind. You may encounter this experience. You may feel bad, but if you keep being aware of whatever thoughts that arise, at a certain point you will suddenly become face to face with the thought. You will see clearly that it is not self, that it is not yours. The thought is there, but we do not make it personal anymore. It is not me and mine, it is not my thought, the thought is not me, it is out there, and we are not going to identify with it anymore. At that point, the thought will have no foundation to stand on to exist. It will vanish, it will dissolve. All thoughts will be dissolved instantly. This is what I call victory of the practitioner. I experienced this kind of victory, and there is nothing else except this kind of victory. I cannot explain more than this, but to ask you not to be discouraged by being bombarded by a lot of thoughts. Keep firm, stay with the awareness, with the knowingness, and then you may be able to overcome it. If you follow my instruction and are aware of body, mind, feeling, and mind objects, all of you will go straight to the target, to the end. So, keep knowing these four aspects of reality. You will gradually understand the nature of these realities, and you will be able to realize that once you hear a sound, it is just a sound you hear. Once you see a form or an object, you just see it, no more than that. So, the body, feeling, mind, or mind objects will not be able to trap you. You will not be subjected to their influence anymore, and you will be able to see these four aspects, these four kinds of realities, the way they are. There is no more than that. Take feeling, for example. If you are not aware of it, once one arises, it will not be just a feeling. It will be more than that. You will judge this feeling. Is it good? Is it bad? A lot of convention, a lot of values will come into play because you are not aware of the feelings. This is good, this is bad, this is desirable, this is undesirable. So, many kinds of values and judgments come into play and there will be no end. The same is true of mind or thoughts. If you are not aware of them, you become judgmental and will go on, endlessly. So, just be aware of them and they will be finished, it will be ended. Feeling will be just feeling, emotions will be just emotions, and mind objects will just be mind objects, and no more than that if you are aware of them. So stay firm, stay only with awareness, and do not push yourself too hard. Just feel free and do not be worried. If you cannot do it, if you cannot be aware of it, that is okay. Do not feel bad for yourself, do not feel regret, oh, I made a mistake. No, just forget it, just go ahead with your practice. Eventually you will realize the truth through awareness. With awareness the truth will reveal itself. The truth of feeling, the truth of mind, the truth of mind objects, and the truth of body will reveal themselves without your memorizing from texts. These truths cannot be memorized, but it is in your capacity to realize them. From my personal interview, all of you have already experienced what is in yourselves. You did not experience something in your imagination. What you explained to me during the past few days is what you have experienced. It is inside yourselves, it is useful. Do not discard it. If you know how to see it properly, it may not be mindfulness that you wish for, but it is still useful for you to use it, for you to understand it. So, just try to learn from it, and it will give you insight or wisdom. What we have experienced so far is not beyond the realm of body and mind. This is the physical body, and feelings, thoughts, and mind objects are in the realm of the mind. So you did not experience something out there. It is already in your body and mind. Try to make use of it skillfully. Luangpor Teean told me that the training of the mind is to see the mind, to look into it, not to seek for calmness of mind. Just see it, just be aware of it, and you will have proper mental training. Since your experience is not beyond body and mind, you do not experience something out there. You experience what is already in yourselves. So, just feel free, feel relaxed and know that you have done nothing wrong. But if you see the image of hell or heaven out there, if you smell odor out there, if you see a vision of angels or a deity out there, you are traversing the wrong path. Please come back. Just try to see, be aware of what is already in your body and mind. That is all. Do not look beyond that. What you have already done may be called meditation, observing the precepts, or earning merit. The meditation you practiced has already covered what I just mentioned. When you practice meditation here, your mind becomes normal, that is sila, or morality. It means normal, normal in conduct, normal in deeds. If you feel calm and peaceful, that is wholesomeness, or husala. If you know how to be free from your thoughts, that is wisdom. Even if you suffer because of them, as long as you learn from them, you have gained wisdom. It is knowledge. It is not necessarily negative. When you practice, you do not do anything harmful to yourself nor to anybody, which means you have already kept the precepts, observed morality. So, morality, concentration, wisdom, wholesomeness or merit, have already been developed from your practice. Please learn how to transform undesirable thoughts, and whatever suffering you may experience. Do not let thoughts make you suffer. Try to adjust your mind, try to change it to be wholesome and happy. You have to learn by yourself to solve your own problems, and if you keep solving your problems, you will have what we call wisdom. You will learn that you are your own master, you will know that your own self is your refuge, and this is the ultimate truth that everybody should understand. There is no refuge other than oneself. Any questions? Question: whenever there is a thought, you suffer because you develop more thoughts. Thoughts that stem from intentional thoughts are okay, I think. For example, if during the practice, you have a thought and know that you cannot improve yourself based on it, then you come up with something of how you want to improve it. Answer: yes, if it is a skillful thought, it will lead to wisdom. We should learn from thoughts without suppressing them, that is what we call wisdom or insight. Wisdom can be obtained when body and mind are free of disturbance. Now, we are already here, and our bodies are far away from annoyance or disturbance. If our minds still think about this and that all the time, about sensual pleasure, about sensual happiness, the Buddha compared this situation to a log that is on the shore but is still wet. You cannot make fire with this wood. But if you are here, your body is in a place of solitude, and your mind is also calm and not engaged in sensual pleasure or distraction, you are like wood that has already dried and can be lit. This means that one will be able to be liberated because body and mind go together. The person who does not practice will keep thinking about the experiences of the past. But if we practice, our minds will be in order, they will keep knowing the present moment. And this mental attitude of knowing oneself, or knowing one's thoughts, will give the wisdom that the mind itself reveals, the truth that is manifested in mind. So, such practice will give rise to the wisdom that the Buddha suggested and praised. We are able to develop or attain a state of wholesomeness in the same manner that the Buddha did. We are able to abandon the unwholesomeness and the suffering that the Buddha was able to. What the Buddha attained is not something beyond our capacity. We can also achieve his compassion, his wisdom, and his purity. So, do not think that the Buddha's qualities are something out there. It is already in our capacity to develop them if we practice constantly. If we practice hard enough, his compassion, his wisdom, and his purity will be shared by us. Mindfulness meditation leads everybody to the same goal, just like Route 301 led everybody here. Anybody who practices mindfulness meditation will realize the same thing, the same wisdom. It does not mean that the Buddha knows one way, and the noble beings know something different. They know the same thing because they use the same road. Mindfulness meditation is the most important road to liberation. What we have practiced now is not a waste of time. Even though you have not attained wisdom yet, what you have done will produce results. You are going to create a karma, or conduct, that produces results. For example, when you raise your hand you become aware of it, such awareness will not vanish. It will accumulate and it will enable you to attain something. So, keep practicing even if you do not gain insight during this 7-day retreat. That is okay, just never mind. Please continue your practice after the retreat, and it will certainly produce results. Question: could anyone reach liberation during this lifetime? Does it depend on the amount of effort you put in the practice? Is it hindered by the sankhara that you have accumulated? Answer: yes. It is possible for a person to achieve liberation, if one practices the Dhamma or the teaching that the Buddha suggested. That is to develop or train in a higher morality, in higher concentration, and in higher wisdom. We are capable of reaching that point. It is not necessarily obstructed or hindered by past actions. If we practice in the present life, we are able to liberate ourselves. I would like to ask you, is there tomorrow? The teaching of the Buddha is full of marvelous characteristics. It is what the Buddha practiced by himself, and it is beyond time. It can produce results beyond the limitations of time. It is what one can realize by oneself, and it can be achieved by anybody with no limitation, and only the practitioner will realize it. You cannot practice it for other people. This is what the Buddha said. There is tomorrow, but we do not know what the chances are for tomorrow, and we cannot do anything about tomorrow. What we can do is today. The past, or yesterday, is already gone and we cannot do anything for the past. What we did in the past is already in the past, we cannot do anything else now. So only today can we do something. Please try to make an effort to improve today. Do not pay much attention to tomorrow or to yesterday. Question: can we teach what we have learned to other people? Answer: we teach and we share what we already have. If we are compassionate enough, we teach compassion. If we are kind enough, we teach kindness. So you share what you have already attained or teach it to other people. There are many things that we may not have achieved yet, but we are able to do that. For example, we may not have read a book but we can still give it to other people. It is like food that we do not eat but share with other people. We do not benefit from it, but we can give the benefit to other people. We just try to help as much as we can. If we find children in trouble, we should try to help them as much as we can. There are many levels of Dhamma. If you live your life according to the moral precepts, you do not harm anybody, you do not kill, you observe the 5 precepts, you have already attained some level of Dhamma. So you can teach if you behave properly. But for the higher levels of Dhamma, one has to attain some level of insight in order to teach other people, but in reality nobody can teach anyone, we can only teach ourselves. Question: I have a question on seeing thoughts. Over the years, I have been practicing, worrying over the quality of thoughts. Thoughts can be strong and there may be many thoughts coming. I am wondering, if, over time, as I keep practicing, will the nature of my thoughts change so they are not as strong, not as quick, or will you just see the thoughts and they will improve? Answer: yes. The unintentional thoughts or undesirable thoughts that cause suffering will change. Their nature will change if you keep looking at them, and at the same time you may be more adept at looking and seeing. Your capacity to look and the nature of thoughts will both change, and your unintentional thoughts will improve. Everything is subject to change, even hatred, greed, and delusion will change if there are sufficient factors to produce the change. It is the law of nature that everything is subject to change, because everything depends on various factors. Luangpor Teean once made an analogy of the state of enlightened mind. An enlightened mind will not hold on to or attach to sensual pleasure, or anything that causes suffering. You just let it pass, let go of it. But if you are an ordinary person, you just grasp this greed, hatred, or sensual pleasure. Even if this is the anger which causes suffering, we still grasp it, and we enjoy it, enjoy getting angry. So, this is the mind of general people who never practice, they cling to happiness and suffering. People do not turn away from suffering, they cling to it and do not let it go. I ran a summer camp. The small novices had a quarrel and wanted to fight with each other. I tried to keep them from kicking and striking each other, but they still wanted to punch each other. They wanted to preserve the anger, they clung to it and would not let it go. So, this is the state of ordinary minds, of ordinary people. When the eyes of the enlightened one make contact with a form, a visual object, to see is just to see, there is no clinging to the form or to the visual object, it just falls down and suffering cannot exist. There is no attachment to the eyes or to the mind. But for ordinary minds, once the contact has been made, they cling to the noise, to the object, and cannot let them go. In fact, Luangpor Teean compares it to clay. If you throw it at a wall and it sticks, it is like an ordinary mind, you cannot let it go. You just think about it over and over, and you become happy or suffer. But for the enlightened mind, it is like dried soil, you throw it and it never sticks to the wall but just falls down. You just see it but nothing happens. Question, is appreciation of beauty a judgment? Answer, that this is beautiful or this is ugly is just convention. The mind of the enlightened one is like the leaf of the lotus that cannot be stained by water, not even a drop. The enlightened beings live in the world but cannot be stained or polluted by the world. They do not cling to the world. They are beyond the world, but they live in the world. The lotus grows out of the dirty mud, but it will never be polluted or stained by the mud. It is very beautiful. This is the mind of the enlightened one. Question, why is happiness a suffering? Is it because it is unstable? Answer, if it is general happiness, it is suffering because it is subject to change. It is just convention. But supreme happiness, liberation, or enlightenment, is different. No happiness is greater than enlightenment. June 12, 1997. Foundations of Mindfulness. Please pay attention. We have been following the instructions that the Buddha gave in the sutta called Adhiṭṭhāna, or the sutta about the 4 foundations of mindfulness, which covers all human activities. Human lives or human ways of conduct can be divided into 4, the realm of body, the realm of feeling, the realm of thought, and the realm of mind objects. There are a lot of details concerning these 4 aspects of a human being. Our bodies have experienced a lot of things, we have felt a lot of feelings, encountered various kinds of thoughts, and faced a lot of mind objects or mental impressions. No matter what happens to the body or to the physical form, with mindfulness we can understand the fundamental truth, or the fundamental nature that underlies the activities of the body. Mindfulness gives us insight into the nature of the body. The underlying nature, the fundamental law, that governs the physical realm is what we call, the 3 common characteristics, impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and no self. Feelings are also subject to the 3 common characteristics. Every kind of feeling, whether it results from contact with the eyes, with the ears, with the nose, with the tongue, with body, or with mind, is subject to these 3 common characteristics. Ultimately, feelings have no self. We cannot take them to be a self or a person. If we do not understand the reality of feelings, we will be their slave. We will try to struggle for the pleasant feelings, we will try our best to protect whatever can give us pleasant feelings. A lot of people are busy possessing objects that provide them with pleasant feelings, but they will ultimately find that they cannot keep them all the time. They are subject to change, to vanish. The Buddha always stresses that a feeling is not self, it is not the person, it is not the individual, so do not take it to be a person or self. Worldly beings who do not practice cannot understand what the Buddha said, but we will be able to understand if we practice hard enough. During the past few days we have been here, we may not have attained this insight yet, but it is within our capacity to see, to understand, and to have insight into the nature of feelings. We should understand mind or mental formations too. Thoughts, or mental impressions, are very important because if we are not aware of our thoughts they will give rise to anger, hatred, and delusion. They will give rise to pleasure, pain, sorrow, happiness, and a lot of conventions. Law, rules, regulations, and all sorts of things will come into play and your thoughts will proliferate without end. Thus we should learn to understand the thinking process. Can we see thoughts? Can we know the thoughts that arise in our minds? Do we follow the thoughts or do we just know them, just be aware of them? Do we suffer because of thoughts or do they make us happy? Can we see how thoughts are not self? Are we able to see them as void or empty of self? If we understand and see the thoughts that arise in our minds, thoughts are no big deal. We will become their master. But if we do not know the thoughts in our minds, they will control our lives, they will be our masters. To practice mindfulness meditation, we start by cultivating awareness of our bodies. We start at this point and then we become aware of feelings. Once we are confident enough to be aware of body and feelings, We will then go to the next step of being aware of our thoughts. We cannot jump directly to awareness of our thoughts, because we need to be skillful enough or it will cause us trouble. Our mindfulness should be cultivated and it has to start from an awareness of the body and our feelings. Once our mindfulness is developed enough, we will proceed further to train ourselves to be aware of our minds. We have to know the former step thoroughly first. If we ignore the awareness of the body, and jump to the step of mental awareness, we will become easily lost in our thoughts. To handle our thoughts and mental impressions, we need to know their weak points. It is as thought we are going to handle a snake. Snakes are harmful, but the skillful person who knows their weak point can capture them without getting hurt. It is like handling an elephant. Elephants are very big and strong, much stronger than human beings, but if we know their weak point we can capture and harness them. Whatever strength it has, however powerful it is, it does not matter because we know how to handle it. The same goes for our relationship with our minds and our thoughts. We have to know the weak point of our thoughts, then we will understand and will be able to handle them. We should know what their source is and how they are conditioned. With this knowledge, thoughts will not be harmful anymore.
May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be